Hey everybody, Greg here, and this is another video in the series of videos about bicycle trails in Iowa City and Coralville and North Liberty area. Now, behind me you can see the sign for the Hawkeye Tennis and Rec Center, and that's where I'm at right now. And so this video is going to be showing you how to get from the Rec Center here over to Melrose Avenue in sort of enjoyable and safe path. So we're going to go through the parking lot area. And when you're riding, there's a temptation to just kind of figure, well, why don't I just get on this road over here? There's not really a lot of traffic or whatever, but instead of that, I want to show you how you can turn left. And at this point, you're heading north, essentially. Around the building, you'll see the Touch the Earth Outdoor Rental Center is a university rental center for camping and outdoor sports equipment. But anyway, there's this trail between the parking area and that access road. And you can get on this trail, and then just as you get to the end of the parking lot, if you'll turn right here, and you may want to just keep an eye out for traffic, because sometimes there are trucks parked here and they wouldn't see you entering the parking area. So anyway, you're going to go across the parking area, and this is going to take you out toward this sports field, and then a trail that goes either south in that direction over toward the Clear Creek Trail, and there's some other videos I've posted about that, or we can turn right here at this trail and head north. Now, something I do while I'm riding, that was nice to see that little bunny hopping along there, is, even though this is what I'm about to show you here, what I'm showing you is a very short segment of trail, it's, I think, more pleasant than being on the street or in the street or even, on the sidewalk along the street. So there are often interesting birds along through here, some good photo ops depending on the time of day, and so I like that little segment a lot. And basically it lets out here and gives you a convenient spot to cross this street and get onto the sidewalk on the other side. So you don't really have to mix it up too much with traffic, and there's good visibility looking left and right, so you can see who's coming and they can see you. And along this sidewalk, you want to kind of slow down with these little bunnies because they don't really know what to do with the cyclists. But along this sidewalk is some nice landscaping as you get close to the UI Sports Medicine complex there. And this early in the morning, these plants are shaded. So at this spot here, we're entering or crossing over past this entry to the parking area for UI Sports Medicine. Now you could continue along on the street because the sidewalk, as you see, ends pretty abruptly here. But that street's kind of narrow, and as you saw, there can be buses. So I would recommend turning into this area here, into the UI Sports Medicine facility area, and then turning left on this sidewalk access to the parking, which is empty this morning, but sometimes rather full. And now you can kind of bike a little more at ease going through the parking area. And even though there's sometimes cars parked here, there typically aren't a lot of cars driving through. I think people use this as sort of a long-term parking spot. Now on either side, you won't want to miss this wetlands area. I'm gonna bike back because I missed something I want to show you. On either side here of this parking area, you'll see what looks like the landscaper groundskeeping people took the summer off, but actually this is intentional. This isn't just neglect, it's kind of a planned wetland preserve. So I'm going to show you from this angle. You can see right there, it's really quite interesting that there are sort of marsh-like plants growing. And here's a sign that explains what it's about. So it's Clear Creek Bioswale Demonstration Site. And you'll find some what are referred to as, watershed enhancements. You'll find quite a few of these in the, in and along the bike trails and in this area. So anyway, I wanted to point that out. Back there are the soccer fields, by the way. Okay, so anyway, we came from the rec center, went close to the sports medicine area, biked through this parking lot, and we're continuing on through this parking lot here. Right now it's about 7 o'clock in the morning, and today is August 4th. And this is pretty typical at this time in the morning, but it's going to pick up pretty soon. The rush traffic begins around maybe 7:30 or a little before, and then it starts to get real hectic on some of the main roads. So when we get to the end of this parking lot here, you'll see on your right is the Hall of Fame, Sports Hall of Fame. You'll want to turn left. So there's the parking, and we're turning left here. And then for a short segment of this access road, we're going to be just on the street because there's no sidewalk or trail access to get through. And that would be a project probably for somebody to pursue, is see if there could be a safer way to get bikes over here. But anyway, once you get out to Mormon Trek, you're going to want to turn right and head south. On your right, you see there's that Sports Hall of Fame building again. But the point of this video really is to show you how to go from that Hawkeye Tennis Rec Center, which is kind of a good landmark for bicycling because it's also a hub center where you can go north or south or west from there. And there aren't really any convenient trails. If you ride in the street, you're going to be bumping up against, big trucks like the one that just went by. Speed limit here is 35, but people sometimes go a lot faster than that. So, any sort of unsuspecting bicyclist might think, oh, I'm just going to jump out in the street there, and be kind of startled by the fact that those lanes coming up to this intersection, just before this, the lanes are pretty narrow, especially if you're on a bicycle and there's a semi-truck right next to you. But the sidewalk is actually kind of nice. It's maybe twice the width of a normal sidewalk. Now there are a few things we can do here at this intersection. If you want to continue going south, that's a good way to get to Willow Creek Park. But if your intention is to go east from here, if you're going to turn left, what you want to do is go ahead and push this button, and we're going to be crossing Mormon Trek here. This is generally a busy intersection throughout the day, but the lights are programmed pretty well, so whether you're a pedestrian, bicyclist, or driver, nobody really has to wait too long to get through this intersection. Now I have the walk light, but what you'll find is even when you have the walk light, like just then, you have to be really alert because somebody just tried to run into me. But anyway, there's the walk light. Particularly at these turning lanes as well, a lot of times people either aren't paying attention or they maybe don't know that pedestrians and bicyclists might have the right of way. And sometimes they can be, you think they're looking right at you, but they're just daydreaming, and then they, you know, put on the gas. So you just have to be very alert in those intersections, even when you have the green light and the walk sign and everything. So now, something I'm going to point out here is in Iowa City, and I would guess in other cities, you get these little arrows pointed on the sidewalk, the arrows painted on the sidewalk, and those are to indicate places where the sidewalk needs to be fixed, repaired, because it's not compliant. It's not only sort of, you know, inconvenient because it's bumpy, right? But it's not compliant with ADA accessibility requirements. It's also a problem in the wintertime when you're trying to clear the snow and ice. If you have a plow and you're pushing snow, the edge of that plow can really get caught up on uneven pavement. So I mention that because up ahead here it gets even more bumpy. But this is really, I think, the preferred route to get from where I was to this eastbound downtown headed trail. The sidewalk's kind of narrow. This is kind of a traditional, oh thanks, I'll pull to the right.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So as you can see, there really isn't room for, you know, like two bicyclists or a bicyclist and a pedestrian. So somebody's going to have to go onto the grass, which I did for that cyclist. And you'll notice most of the bicyclists in Iowa City are traveling at a courteous speed, I would say. And they're pretty good about ringing their bell or telling you that they're passing on the left. Now, I want to point out some more of these arrows here. You might notice that the paint's kind of faded, you know. I think these have been around for a long time, these arrows, because this sidewalk has been in need of repair for a long time. Here's another spot. So if you see fresh paint, you know that somebody was just out to mark this. But if it's paint that looks like it was sprayed on like 5 years ago, there's probably not much of a chance that's going to get fixed anytime soon. So you want to go kind of slow over those. If, you know, your bike rim, the rim on your wheels can get sort of damaged if you hit those too fast, depending on what load you're carrying. And then it just gets kind of worse along in through here because of the tree. The roots of that tree are just kind of bumping this up, as you can see. Now, it's possible that there's some plans to replace or expand the sidewalk. I don't know that for sure, but I've noticed some markings along here and flags that indicate it's been surveyed. Here's another and another paint on that sidewalk, indicating that somebody may have surveyed this for water lines, gas lines, electric lines, etc. There were some flags up for a while. And the other reason I like this path here is if we look to the left, there's just a really beautiful view of the Finkbine golf course. And off to the left, I'll just kind of point in that direction, is a golf complex, and anyway, we'll continue on along here. And depending on the time of day, in the morning or in the evening, you can get some really nice sunrises or sunsets. So here comes somebody again on their bike. I'm going to pull into the grass because there's not really enough room. And then back onto the trail. You want to be careful there because this sidewalk has some steep drop-offs that you may not notice because of the grass. So when you go to turn back onto the sidewalk, your wheel can kind of buckle under you and then you'll fall off and get injured. And that's just inevitable because you're going to be pulling off the sidewalk to be courteous to other riders. So here's another spot where there's a pretty big bump in the sidewalk, and you will see kind of the faded remains of a little arrow there indicating, hey, this is messed up, let's fix it sometime. But anyway, we'll kind of go over that. And then again on the other side, you'll see the arrow. So I want to point out that yes, it's obvious, everyone knows this is like a messed up sidewalk. Hopefully somebody's going to get to it at some point. But it tends to be just a really nice nice trail, and then it's going to connect you up where I'm going to end this video. Is it connects you up to another trail just at the top of this hill. You can see to the left there is parking for the golf course, and so that is sometimes used for game day, tailgating, RVs, parking, that type of thing. But otherwise, it's usually pretty empty, and you can ride your bike along there if you prefer not to be on this narrow, bumpy sidewalk. Now, right here we're nearing, along Melrose. Over there's Emerald Street. There's fire station number 2. And this here is the entrance to Finkbine, to the Finkbine Golf Course and Center. And so we can go just over the entry and exit and turn left here onto this trail, which is marked, I'll show you here, that it goes to Hawkins Drive and Carver Arena. I have a separate video to show you that trail, so I'm going to end this one here, but I'll point out that if you were to keep heading east on Melrose, along Melrose on this sidewalk, the sidewalk eventually widens, and it'll take you on into Iowa City, and there's a lot to do there, and I have some other videos showing you that route as well. So thanks for watching, and have a great day.